Plum meeting. It is Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. It is 6:06 p.m. We're in the city of Los Angeles. This is Lincoln Heights, 90031. This is a Planning and Land Use Committee meeting where we have 7 board members on this committee, and we have 5 open seats for the public. If anybody from the community wants to be a stakeholder member. Okay, so with that, Secretary Sanchez, roll call, please.
Sarah Clendenning.
Present.
Vincent Chente.
Present.
Fernanda Sanchez present. Benny Madera.
Present.
Richard Ortiz. Here. Nancy Soto.
Present.
And I believe that is it.
All right, we have quorum.
And Melanie Bolomo is not here either.
Oh, so missing 2. Is Christian here? Adams, Mr. Adams?
He is not here either.
Oh, he's not, okay. We can still do business. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to item number 2, roll call. Oh wait, no, item number 3, sorry. Non-agenda public comment. 2 minutes per person. So this is 2 minutes for anybody from the public to comment on anything that is not on the agenda. You can speak about anything that you want. You have 2 minutes to speak. Please raise your hand. On 9.
Just for the record, Melanie came in at 6:08.
Okay, cool. Hi, Mel.
First,
All right, so any public comment?
our first public comment is Valeria. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name's Valerie. I guess you can see me. I just wanted to comment. I'm actually here for the Chipotle, but I just realized that I did not send you guys the file packet. So I just sent it to Sarah a minute ago. Otherwise, maybe I could do a share screen. So there was a little bit of a sort of technical issues between Sarah and I think I got lost in the shuffle. So that's my only public comment.
Valerie, I have all of the council file docs and the planning and the CPC and the zoning docs.
Right, you just don't have it electronically.
I mean, I have them just on my own. I've never seen your packet. So I'm just chucking them right now into my Google Drive. But I mean, I don't have a presentation or anything. So let me, okay, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay.
It's all good. All right. So any other public comment?
We have no more public comment.
Okay, next we're going to, we don't have announcements. Well, could we do an announcement, Fernanda, on the COVID thing?
Yep. So this Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Lincoln Heights Youth Center over on Altura Street, we're going to have a Housing is Key clinic so that if you have any rent debt or utility bill debt, we will go ahead and help you out, fill out for that application. The application deadline for that is March 31st, and the application is at housingiskey.gov.
Right on. Got it. You know, if you like whatever, just sign up for it. Just sign up for it so that you're on the list. Everybody's doing it, and you protect your rights as a tenant as well from any illegal evictions. Okay, excellent. And yeah, let's move on to the next item. Okay, so item number 4, Planning and Land Use Committee. Discussion and possible action on entitlement request / letter to CBC City Planning regarding Chipotle Mexican Grill, 2200 East Trojan Way, 1550 North San Pablo Street, case number ZA 2021-10735 MPA, and CEQA number EMV 2021-10736 CE. Project description: zoning request for a master plan approval, MPA, for the sale and dispensing of beer and wine for on-site consumption for a new restaurant pursuant to case number This is the main case, CPC 2015-376 MCUP MCUP ZV SPR. Applicant Chipotle Mexican Grill. Site owner USD, Representative Valerie Sachs, liquorlicense.com. Related cases. Now these go back, but yeah, there's some zoning cases, okay? Before we go on with the motion or begin, I have something I kind of want to bring up. So that case number that this is pursuant to, the 2015 MCUP CPC, we had voted on that item and then wrote a letter in support of an appeal of the Hyatt obtaining any alcohol entitlements. Back in June, we voted on that. So I don't know if this case, the zoning, see this case, I have all the documents and stuff. So this is a restaurant opening up in that project that we already voted against the alcohol licenses on the bigger scale. So I don't know if we're just being redundant or if we have to vote each time.
No, it's
Vince?
each time anybody applies, whenever they get any type of number of a zoning, it's each individual. So we did one on the whole. Anybody that applies for any type of liquor license there or construction will have to have a separate vote for each one.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Because we voted on those 3 zoning ones at the bottom and then the MCUP. Okay. Cool.
So I can promote Valerie over and give her a share screen so she can do the presentation.
Okay, cool.
Okay, second.
Let me check my email real quick. Make sure everything's set. Yeah, so those, if anybody from the public wants to, go access the agenda and then click on those links. Those city planning links take you to a trove of documents. And the document that pertains to this case in particular is the ZA 2021 one for the MPA, which was just filed a couple weeks ago, and the EMV one, 2021, and that's current too. So.
Okay, so we're opening up for Valerie now?
Yeah, it was actually, it was filed in December, but yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna promote her to panelist and then give her share screen.
Wild, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Uh-oh.
Give me 1 second. I just moved her over and I'm gonna give her share screen capability.
Okay.
Cool.
Hi.
Hey, hey.
It was filed December 23rd, but don't worry, there's no concern that there will be a public hearing anytime before you guys are done with your process. This is taking a really, really, really long time.
The document says February. It's the one that falls right under the current case number. It's the one where it's all handwritten. Or it's not handwritten, it's like the one for the MPA, just specifically.
Yeah, it was accepted for review in mid-February, so maybe that's why it shows. But in any case, it's the case number that's the ZA 2021 10735 MPA. I actually also have Liliana Chavez, and she is the manager of that location because it's already open and operating. She's calling in, so I don't know. I know she's here because I've been texting with her on the side, but I don't know I don't know how that works because she's at the restaurant. Like she's literally physically at the restaurant right now. So that was the way she was gonna.
I could bring her on. There's a Liliana Hernandez, not Chavez.
Oh, I probably had a brain blip.
Oh, okay.
My God.
Oh.
Sorry. There's a Lila Chavez that I've been talking to all day for something completely unrelated. So that was probably why I did that. Sorry about that.
Okay, so that's the correct one, Hernandez?
Her number is 626-290-3406.
We can't see her number because she's probably calling in or she's online. I don't see any numbers on our attendees.
Oh, you don't?
I just see a Liliana Hernandez, and it must be her because she raised her hand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, okay.
Oh, there she is. Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, as you said, so
Valerie, before we move forward, did you accept the co-host so you can share?
I think so, yeah. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, there
Share
it is.
screen. Oh, it said host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, I'm gonna make you a co-host, accept it,
Okay.
and then you should be able to have access to the screen share.
Share screen. There we go. You see the Department of City Planning application?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, basically there was a master conditional use permit. Actually, before we go into that, I did want to mention, so my email address is license.com, not ce.com. So in case anybody wants to follow up with me, that's the correct email address. Anyway, so yeah, we filed this back in December, in late December, and then it got accepted into planning in February, but it'll be months before we have the hearing. This is, as you know, and you're well aware, there was the master conditional use permit that had to do with the conference center and the rest and the hotel and all that other stuff. And as part of that, they approved a restaurant with the ability to serve beer and wine pursuant to a type 41 ABC license. But as part of that, the actual applicant for that needs to come in later and file separately and make a presentation, and it'll ultimately go not to the planning commission, but to the zoning administrator. So that's what we're here for tonight. And basically the restaurant is already open and operating. And it's a 2353 square foot restaurant with 2139 square foot interior seats and 214 square foot outdoor seats. 214 square foot patio area. There are 32 interior seats and there's 16 seats on the patio. The way the restaurant is designed, there will not be alcohol service on the patio, so it's just for the interior. And we've requested hours of operation from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. So basically, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Chipotle. It's the idea of the beer and wine service is that they see themselves as a cut above. It's kind of a hybrid between a typical fast food restaurant and a sit-down restaurant. So the quality of the food, the preparation, the atmosphere, the architecture, all of that is a step above what you would, a fast food restaurant. But they have a streamlined menu, a limited menu, a streamlined menu, and it's sort of production, assembly line type production. And that way they're able to offer a really, higher quality food at a more accessible price point. The request to be able to serve beer is it's just something that some of their patrons like to be able to have it with their burritos. It's a very small percentage of gross receipts at all of their restaurants, but it is kind of part of the whole vibe that they want to establish there. They want it to be not a place where you're just grabbing and going, but you might have a leisurely meal with your friends and you might want to have a beer with that. They very heavily self-regulate. They do this at thousands of locations and they have basically zero problems with the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control in California and in other areas. And that's partly because they very heavily self-regulate and they don't have very intensive conditions. For example, they never ever have happy hour. They never ever sell beer by the pitcher. And they do a lot of other things. And actually Liliana can chime in a bit about that answer any questions you might have with respect to that. So basically that's the request. I understand there was a lot of controversy over the big picture project, but I'm hoping that you guys can kind of look at Chipotle and just, kind of have an open mind. They're a very responsible operator and they're not interested in having any of the issues that irresponsible operators might have. They have a lot of procedures and policies in place that work really, really well. And that's what they're going to have in place here too. They have locations near Cal State Northridge, Cal State LA, UCLA that have been open for a long time, and none of those have any issues either. So anyway, but maybe Liliana would like to chime in about some of the specifics in terms of how you guys manage those products. Can we hear you?
Yeah, just to add on to like what Valerie was saying, it is just a small percentage of our sales, maybe like about 1%. It's very like rare when somebody asks for a beer, but there's customers that do ask for one with their burrito. I've been with the company for about 7.5 years altogether, and there's never been like an issue selling beer. And in order to sell beer, the cashier does have to be 21 and over. So if you're a minor, you're not like allowed to touch the alcohol or sell the alcohol or serve the alcohol.
They self-regulate for things that are more restrictive than what the ABC requires. So I can show you the, let's see. So that's the DCP application. I can show you the plans. Like I said, there won't be any alcohol on the patio. It's not over concentrated in this area. And you know, they're already open and operating. We've asked for 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So those are not very, you know, no late hours, no live music, no any of, it really doesn't have any of the characteristics that are sometimes associated with problem uses. So anyway, I don't know if you guys have any questions. I usually kind of take the cue from the neighborhood to see what the issues are that are of concern to you guys.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Valerie. Do you have any, all right. So this is on Trojan Way, which is a new kind of street, right? And San Pablo, which is an old street. And the hotel's been built, the Hyatt, and the restaurant's been built out, correct?
Right, it's already open.
Oh, it's already open and operated. Okay.
Yeah, they're just not serving alcohol, but it's open for business otherwise. In fact, Liliana, did you open in February? Is that when you opened it? And she just hired a whole bunch of new people and
Yeah,
you know, like that.
it opened in February 10th. So we've been open for like a month and a couple days. And yes, I hired the whole team within. I hired them as the crew members, and they all live in the area.
When you say in the area, is that Ramona Gardens or Hillside Village or Lincoln Heights or Boyle Heights?
Like Lincoln Heights, Boyle Heights, East LA, El Sereno.
Valley. Yeah, okay, cool. Because a lot of times people say they hired locally, but you know, we always have to check it out.
Yeah, most of their zip codes are all like
Yeah.
90033, 90030. They're all very local.
So
it's to their benefit anyway, because it's just, you know, I mean, it just makes it easier all around, and then they can kind of go to work together and well, whatever. Anyway, I'm not involved with that, so I won't talk.
So then you're the operating hours of this. God, I'm having trouble pulling up the documents. My computer's all jammed up, but yeah. So I went through all the paperwork with the case file with city planning, and it's not the first document, but it's like the second one, sort of the findings of fact or something. So it talks about the concentration and the sensitive use areas in proximity within 500 feet. And there are many in the document, you know, like Bravo and Hazard Park and stuff like that. But, you know, it's already built. But yeah, so Vince, what should we do now? Should we see if Valerie has any images of the?
Well, if the presentation is over, I mean, right now, what we could do is really just ask questions on the project and then open it up for public comment and then make a decision on whether we would look at this again, hold it, or we can automatically write a letter of denial.
I have our old determination letter for the other, because this is under that one case file. The, you know, our position was that, it was the magnitude of the space with the alcohol, right?
So
yeah.
let's open it up for the board members, and I have a couple of questions for Valerie.
Okay,
Valeria, sorry.
Valerie.
So you mentioned that the area wasn't concentrated with alcohol. What data are you using?
I'm using it based upon the census tract data.
So it's not the data from the ABC.
No, it is the data from the ABC. I believe that's correct. Let's see. I have it in the findings.
Because we do have a huge concentration of alcohol just in our community alone.
No, well, not right. The concentrations, it's like the cash and carry spots like Big Saver and stuff. It's our little mom and pop shops and our bars are all kind of shut down. But
the liquor licenses are still there, and we got to count some of the stores that are around that are restaurants. And then we also have to take into consideration that the city currently right now is expediting liquor licenses with their new program, which is going to make a huge impact because most of the time projects come into our neighborhood and they want to have liquor and they'll come in as an individual. Well, ours won't cause any harm, but the cumulative effect of all of them at one time and over time have given us what we have now in our community. And I often tell people, if we go to the west side, Beverly Hills, you don't see liquor licenses in every block of their neighborhood. You don't see it in every restaurant. It's a huge standard when we come to our neighborhoods and historically have been targeted for the liquor. Now, my next thing would be this on it. Because you mentioned that it would make it affordable, I would like to know affordable to who? Most people in our area don't have the bracket to eat some of this stuff and buy a $5 or $8 glass of wine. So I'm trying to figure out what type of value will the liquor license coming here, the establishment, provide for our neighborhood? Because what we see with housing, how it gentrifies our neighborhoods, businesses are also gentrifying our neighborhoods because most of the products that we need in our neighborhood that people can afford are no longer being produced and being taken over by corporations that often have too high of a price for the average citizen in Lincoln Heights.
Vince, since the applicant was Chipotle, the alcohol guy, but the owner of the property is USC. So the alcohol license goes with the property, correct?
Okay, the license is the actual ABC license, which it's not liquor, it's only for beer and wine. And maybe Liliana can chime in about the price point. So that would be held by Chipotle, but then the approval would run with the land. But the approval is already it's already been kind of approved in concept, but the approval would run with the land. So that means if Chipotle were to leave, then potentially the next operator could come in. But they have a long lease. They're very successful companies. So most of their places, they just kind of renew and they renew and they renew again. And also, there's other restrictions that are like normally what happens when the city reviews these, like, let's say I'm looking at it. First off, I have to disagree with you. I represent alcohol people and I see alcohol all over the city, including very, very big concentrations in really nice areas. So I don't agree with you there. I do understand that you have a concern, for sure, and you're protective of your own neighborhood, but I don't think that particular, you might be talking about liquor stores and things, but in terms of actual restaurants that serve alcohol, it's actually not really very intensive here as compared to a lot of most other locations that I see these things in. And again, certain types of uses are more impactful than others. Like a liquor store that's a much bigger, we don't actually hardly represent them. So, and I totally get that part of it. Is somebody talking?
Oh, somebody has audio. Oh, it's Jabs. Vince, is that Jabs talking?
I can't tell if that's background noise or if that's part of the meeting.
I've muted any mic that was interrupting your audio. My apologies.
No worries. Okay, and then let's see. you had a variety of issues, Vincent, so that, or concerns that you had. So one of them was that, I have it up on the screen right now. Basically, there's the faculty club has an on sale license, and the Hyatt House has one, and then Arts Coffee Shop does. And then there's Galvez Market, that's an offsite use. So that's just, he's got a market and he sells beer and wine there at his market. So it's basically the permitted number of on sale licenses is actually, so I misspoke, you were correct on that, is actually 3. And so this would be the 4th license. That being said, the ABC doesn't consider restaurants, like not clubs, not liquor stores, not off sale uses, but restaurants. It doesn't actually consider an overconcentration of that to be an issue. And I go to many of these and there's pages and pages and pages of on sale uses, and the allotment will be like for 4. And then they'll have, there'll be 15 restaurants that all serve alcohol within the same census tract. And part of the reason for that is because the census tracts are based upon population and actually residents. And this is, there aren't a lot of residents within the census tract. That often happens in commercially zoned property. So it's a little strange that they do it that way, because it creates kind of this strange disproportion, but that is how they do it. And I'm just saying as compared to what I normally see. But in general, and I know what you're referring to as far as the new, oh, okay. Sorry, Sarah, you had something?
Oh, well, when you're talking about the census tract and the industrial zoned area, that area, I believe up until the 50s, through my Sanborn maps, that was Lincoln Heights, Biggie Street, zonal. That was a neighborhood with hundreds of homes. And those homes went all the way over to the coroner, the dead people place. It's really sad. This is what's sad. When you look on Google Maps at the whole south of, the train tracks, right? The 90033 part of Lincoln Heights, all of the houses have been torn down except little outcroppings, like 3 houses.
And I truly understand.
Oh, shoot. Who's talking? So like on Playground Street, there's 3 houses. On Charlotte, there's 3 houses just holding it out where the reservoir is. There's on Chicago Street, there's a couple little houses left. But over where this hotel is, it was a broad sweeping erasure of a residential community, which, I think Benny's on this meeting, he can talk about that too, but it's, the memory, right? It's like, I wasn't alive back then. I just know what I read, but I do know that a Chipotle is doesn't live in Lincoln Heights or Boyle Heights. And I don't know if it is what nationality owns that franchise or company or is making the money, but I do know that it's like Mexican food, right? Is it Mexican? I don't know, but I do know that the money that Chipotle makes is not going to stay in our neighborhood like a real East Side Mexican restaurant would keep the money in. So I'm a little confused about like USC's vetting process with like why did they, like sometimes people want to hook up with like Homeboy Industries, right?
Right.
Because it's kind of like a giving, like a philanthropic sort of cool thing, And I'm just curious as to why they would just, do this Chipotle thing. It's just mind blowing because you have Ramona Gardens right there too. And that, area where that restaurant is, that was like the only brown beach, Hazard Park and the reservoir. There was water there and people would swim because you weren't allowed to go on the west side, go west because of, segregation and stuff. So I just really, it's like USC has carte blanche, it's no matter what crazy ass scandals on the news, each hour to the next with paying to get in, all that stuff. It's just, it is a big deal. The magnitude of it is a big deal. And just what it's.
Sorry.
But I mean, the alcohol part, it's like, yeah, our locals aren't going to go into a Hyatt hotel and drink an $8 beer. It's not for us. It's for people who, you know, students who go to the USC Keck, or people visiting somebody in the hospital or whatever. But I feel like
There's a little bit of a weirdness about USC in general is because of the part of town that it's in versus like the amount of money of the typical students and the faculty and the endowment and so forth. So there is a weird disconnect there. As far as Chipotle goes, you know, they have certain parameters in terms of what they look for a restaurant in terms of like, you know, foot traffic or whatever, and it fits their criteria. And so that's kind of how they choose it. I wasn't involved with I understand that there was a lot of controversy with USC, and I honestly have tried to kind of not involve myself with that because we really don't have a horse in that race, so to speak. And we didn't have anything to do with any of that process. And we're already here. Chipotle is already there. So it's really just a matter of, you know, the beer and wine component. And if there's any particular conditions that, you know, you would like to see on it. But I understand your concerns. I hear them. It's just like in a perfect world, you would be able to, you know, do that, but I don't know.
In the perfect world, they let like somebody from Lincoln Heights sell beer. You know, if you sell, you could sell a 6-pack for like 100, you know, if you're charging $10 a beer, that's $60. You know, it's like everybody wants to open a bar. It's free money. But it's like when the city's giving it out to applicants who hire lobbyists and like, you know, yeah, they make it easy for certain kinds of people to open bars. But what they did in Lincoln Heights is they nuisance abated all of our bars and closed them for, you know, with the gang injunctions and all this stuff. So we don't have any bars that serve our local community. And
Yeah.
It's just that land, I just want to say, like, Vince, do you know the background on this San Pablo location? Wasn't that LAUSD owned?
I believe so, it was.
Alcohol license. So if USC owns it and they're a nonprofit, now they have an alcohol license attached to it or something? How does that work?
Well, remember that the nonprofit itself is a corporation. They tend to collect these things. And, you know, we've often seen that these big corporations just kind of use it as a shelter when they have the business. Then they kind of get the licenses and they become owners of them. And then they become part of the business deals when someone comes in to rent them, like Chipotle, you know? If Chipotle was to ever lose.
Chipotle has a long lease here. They have a long lease. That's not, yeah.
At least can come to an end. We have no control over that. We have to project what the future might have, not what may be or might. Because like I said, historically, we've seen projects where businesses come in like Chipotle and they tell us the same thing, but things happen. There's nothing that can guarantee us anything that the business would stay there, whether it would transfer, whether the use would change on it. And obviously would, because it would have to adapt itself. And there are other examples in our community that are similar to this. And I think that's why we have to take into consideration as we plan the community and its areas where alcohol will be available, that we have to be smart with all the upcoming laws that are coming in and also the concentration of it. Because as USC expands, they are putting alcohol in a lot of places. And I think that, you know, it's disingenuous sometimes when you look at the system because a lot of it's outpricing our neighborhood. And I welcome anybody to join the council and maybe do a price check and visit these locations because a lot of them will not be able to afford it. And so I always ask myself, if the business model does not fit the current resident, then what are these businesses projecting? Who do they want to come? What is the projected market? So it would help us to always bring a menu with the pricing of what these items are going to bring and how much they're going to cost. Because I was on the Elysian Valley Neighborhood Council, and I could tell you one thing. We had a lot of small businesses come in with $40 bottles of wine, $11 cups of wine. I'm not saying that Chipotle is going to do that, but those are very, very unaffordable in a low income area.
Liliana, can you chime in about the pricing and so forth? There you go.
Yeah, so the prices is $4.50 for beer, and we only sell beer, so that's the price. Not $10.
Wait, how
I
much
mean,
is it
go ahead.
It's $4.50.
for like a Bud Light? For real?
No, for it's like different beers. We sell different beers. It's not just Bud Light.
Yeah.
I don't even think we
What are
sell.
some of the beers? Sorry, go ahead.
We sell Coronas,
Really?
Modelo, we sell Pacifico, and Bud Light seltzers.
How much is this? Is a bean and cheese burrito?
A bean and cheese burrito is like $3 at most.
What? At Chipotle?
Oh, a bean and cheese burrito?
A bean and cheese burrito is $3. Yeah, it's only 2 sides.
Is that, can I look that up and
Really?
verify?
I don't
Crazy.
look,
What
you set that up because that's on the secret menu, but
secret menu? Oh, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, Vince, when we're talking about the
Never do
restaurant,
that.
Vince, it's like we've got these established long-term like communities, like the HACLA properties, William Mead and Ramona Gardens and stuff like that. And cities, trying to tear them down and push people out, right? So it's like they don't have, they don't own the land, they won't, it's like with somebody like a behemoth across the street, it's like they're not really thinking about them being in the future because they can see it happen, they actually have a hand in decisions being made. Yeah, it's kind of just scary when, yeah, you just it's almost like the people at Ramona Gardens don't even exist with this alcohol license right here. I don't know. They're the only neighborhood like in proximity besides Lincoln Park Motel. So, Vince, hey, Mr. Adams is on the attendee side. Oh wait, no, never mind. He's here.
Yeah, he's moved over. He can speak if you want to. He can unmute himself.
Yeah, I guess my idea is this is going to be mostly employees that work at USC going there. And my mom, she had over like 20 surgeries right there at Keck. And I'm not sure if anybody knows that doctors, lawyers, and police officers have the highest rate of alcoholism. And so my only concern would be like a doctor getting or surgeon getting drunk, on the premises, or doesn't necessarily have to be drunk to be inebriated, and then going and performing a surgery. He decides that he's okay getting a burrito and some beer, and then goes and performs the surgery, and then there's complications from that, and that's my only concern, is that there's a potential for staff, right? You're 21 and older, you can drink, you're a doctor, you can drink, and that's fine and good, but in terms of like the accessibility for a doctor to go ahead and fall into that alcoholism and have it just right there, that's my concern. And there being alcohol so close to USC Keck, and not alone there, but like obviously there's Hazard Park, as other people mentioned, and Bravo. But that's the first idea that popped in my head about there being alcohol right there. Obviously, a doctor, he can get beer wherever he wants, but it doesn't need to be so easily accessible for him to get a buzz on and then go back to work. That's all.
A couple things. One, okay, as far as Vince was saying earlier about this new restaurant ordinance, my understanding is that the city will determine which areas it's okay to do this truncated process. And so I would definitely strongly suggest that you guys, like, if that's the case, make sure that your area isn't one of them, because you want to be able to have control and a voice in it. And then as far as what Mr. Adams, I guess, was saying, Liliana, can you explain how difficult it is to actually get drunk at Chipotle? They restrict it really heavily.
People usually get one drink and a burrito. It's never, and you can't buy like 5 beers and a burrito. Like, that's not a thing.
You can't, in other words, you can't go to the beer, you can't go to the front of the line and just be like, I don't want anything to eat. I just want 3 beers. They literally will not sell it to you. You
But
could go through the food line, huh?
but it's very common for somebody to get a burrito and a beer on your lunch, like you said, you know, and what's to stop them from saying, okay, since it's so here, you know, I still got another 20 minutes before I have to go back to work. What's another 2 beers, you know? And I'm
They
sure,
won't sell them to you. They won't sell them to you.
dude, how do you know this for a fact?
Because we have
Liliana?
regulations, we have a book, policies. It's not a thing. Like, we don't do that.
So what's the
People-
policy if somebody decides that, oh, I want 1 more beer, you can sell them 1 more beer?
Yeah, we can sell 2 beers if they're still eating.
What if they want 3
eating.
beers?
Sorry, what was that?
What if they want 3 beers?
We don't sell 3 beers. We only sell 2.
So the max per visit is 2 beers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really heavily self-regulate.
I would like
serious.
that to be audited at first, you know, because I guarantee you I can walk into a Chipotle and get more than 2 beers while I'm eating there. I can guarantee that.
How many bottles of wine can I get?
They don't sell wine.
Oh,
It's just, it's the license is a beer and wine license.
oh, okay.
So the only all beer license is like a public premises type one where it doesn't require require a restaurant. So that's actually considered to be more intensive than beer and wine at a restaurant, but they don't actually serve wine.
Mm. I've never been to I've only been to a Chipotle once, a long time ago. And it was expensive for my burrito in a bowl. They put it in a bowl because the guy didn't know how to wrap a burrito. Because it's a broken half or something. But like, why don't I see more like Taco Bells and KFC selling beer? Like, why isn't it kind of an anomaly that Chipotle is selling beer? Like, that's like Panera Bread selling beer. Like, does everybody sell beer now or what?
Well, I don't represent Chipotle or McDonald's, so I don't know. But this Chipotle is, I believe, a step above those. I mean, it's got a much more sophisticated kind of the way they basically the way they do everything is a bit more sophisticated than that. And it's just something that they, you know, just like you would go to a Thai restaurant and some people might not want to have a beer with their Thai food and some people would. I'm somebody who likes to have a beer with my Thai food. So if I'm going to go to a Thai food restaurant and that's not an option, then I'm going to want to pick a different one, even if not everybody I'm with is going to want to have a beer with their Thai food.
I think the price point.
There's again background noise.
You know, I eat at KFC, you know, maybe once every week, for, you know, and the prices went up. It's like, you know, $10. But you know, Chipotle is a, you know, big box corporate, you know, thing. I don't know their whole corporate background or who owns them, but you would see a Chipotle with a KFC and whatever, you know.
They're usually more like equivalent to like a Blaze Pizza. You usually see them with, I'm trying to think, it's usually not, when you look at where they follow each other around, it's usually more like a Blaze Pizza type thing rather than a KFC. So it's a higher price point than straight fast food. But it really is better quality food. I mean, if you look at how they prepare the ingredients, or they're much more careful about how the ingredients are sourced. They're very innovative. They have a lot of vegan.
Great,
They're
but
constantly.
you're in East
Sorry.
LA. This is the East LA, you know, this is a Mexican neighborhood, historically forever. And I just feel like, you know, and I know this has nothing, you know, nobody cares what we
Right.
understand. But I mean, ethically,
No.
it's just like, wow, really? Like, because if USC would have chosen a local restaurant, right, like from Boyle Heights or Lincoln Heights to open there, the money would have stayed in the community. And yeah, wow, like that would be amazing. But instead, you know, this is kind of a thing. It's like we have all these businesses that come here, a lot of corporations, but the money goes elsewhere.
Well, it probably would have been a good thing to try and negotiate with USC previously, but like that's kind of all before we became involved with it. But yeah, I mean, and I think that is like a really good point, Sarah, that it really, again, it has nothing to do with Chipotle, but for future projects to sort of use that, try and extract that in exchange, because I mean, again, it has nothing to do with my client, but you know, I hear you as a big picture concern. And so I'm here for the specific thing. You're looking at the big picture and,
The
you
federal,
know,
the new ordinance with the city of LA, it's not an ordinance, it's a law. Vince, what's it called? I have it written down. But it's that the city cannot, and no governmental agency can contribute to the further disenfranchisement and sidelining of POC communities. It involves language, justice, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and it has to do with zoning and all that stuff that, you know, whatever. So yeah, it is like a law that, you know, the Chipotle here may not be equitable, but yeah, who's to go after them. But is this county land or city?
city.
City? Oh.
Yep. Yeah. And we wouldn't, Chipotle wouldn't qualify for this restaurant because we don't have table service. So for the, this new thing. I do think though, okay, I'm not super familiar with it, but my understanding is that different neighborhoods, they have to approve the different neighborhoods. So, and I do need to dig into it. It's really new and I haven't, you know, I tend to be responsive to whatever's in front of me for a particular client, but I think they have, it says the restaurant, okay, so you can do this in areas mapped and adopted by city council resolution for the restaurant beverage program, but I don't think they've actually picked those areas yet. So I can send this to you, Sarah, if you guys want to, you know, figure out how to make sure that your community opts out of it. I'm just, again, not related to Chipotle, but I'm happy to pass it on.
Yeah.
We have a hand raised in public comments.
Sure. Hello.
You can unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm a health worker and applying to nurse practitioner school. And I have to say, having any type of restaurant with any alcohol on a medical school campus, basically, because there will be medical students there and nurses and honestly, medical assistants, everyone that's there should not be drinking alcohol during their lunch break. I'm sorry. Like, I myself am pretty lightweight, so I do get very tipsy very easily, but obviously I would not be drinking alcohol because I just don't like it. But it's very tempting for students who are under high stress, high pressure, a whole pandemic to resist alcohol if it's right there. Number one. Number two, I used to eat Chipotle quite frequently because of the convenience, but I noticed it made me sick. I don't know if things have changed, but I've stopped. I have to disagree with the quality because, as I said before, it was making me sick every time. And like, I was sad because I loved like eating that. And also I relied on it because it was like veggies and quick. And again, yeah, so I wouldn't be so sure about the quality. I'm sorry, I have to respectfully disagree. And again, I also am for, you know, why can't USC partner up with some kind of local restaurant and again, bring the money to our community and not to a big corporation that isn't really investing back into us. And also the price first, especially when I was an undergrad, was a bit too much too. But again, like we're limited. So I don't know if also like, you know, the prices are still kind of, but those are my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, E. We have Melanie's hand raised too.
Mel?
Hi, I had a couple follow-up or a couple questions regarding a few things that were brought up. Regarding the 2-drink limit per person, because I honestly, before this meeting agenda, I didn't know that there was any Chipotle's that served alcohol. So I did look into it a little bit, just read a few things, not a lot, but the 2-drink limit that's not at every Chipotle location that's offering alcohol, right? There are just some that are a 2-drink limit and there are other places that don't have a 2-drink limit. Is that correct?
Liliana?
Well, it should be, but I don't control other stores. Like, I'm not the manager at every store. I'm the manager at this location.
Yeah, I totally understand. I just wanted to make sure that's not like a policy of Chipotle. It's like dependent on whoever the manager is of the specific location.
It
No,
actually is a
It's
policy.
a policy.
Oh.
Policy.
Okay.
It's a policy, but I don't, Melanie, there's,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a location that's kind of grandfathered in where they're not doing that. I can't say. I can say that they never, ever have any issues with the ABC. The other thing is, if you happen to look up on Yelp, like I've just kind of looked at it before, there is kind of a running joke that it's really difficult to get drunk at a Chipotle. So
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, a couple of things that I read, they were like, oh yeah, there was no way for us to get drunk at this Chipotle. And then others were like, we got totally wasted at Chipotle and there was no drink limit. So I just wanted to get some more clarity on that. Or maybe like if it is a policy, maybe it's just not always followed potentially. Oh gosh, what was the other thing I wanted to clarify? Hold on, baby. Give me 1 second, okay? Let me just think here. Shoot. Oh yeah, they used to do happy hour though, right?
I've been representing them for more than 10 years and they haven't done happy hour at any of them ever.
Maybe it's just like any in California, you mean?
Right. I don't know what their policies are elsewhere, but I understand they don't do it anywhere. So yeah.
Well, I know they definitely did used to. There's lots of articles about their happy hours and free alcohol and 2 for 1 and all that stuff. Maybe not in California. I didn't look that deep into it or pay attention to the location.
I can't speak for other states and neither can Liliana. I'm not under the impression that they do, but I could be mistaken.
No,
I represented them in Southern California. We've probably represented like 100 different locations for them.
Okay.
And that's been the story for all of them.
I guess it just comes back to that. Is it a policy of Chipotle or a policy, because then how easily can things change? That's always something. And I know that you're saying that they hold themselves to these standards. But that, self-regulation is always it's a double-edged sword because self-regulation can be so easily changed because it's just them regulating themselves. So,
well, it's in addition to all the other regulations. It's not instead of, it's in addition.
No, I understand. In addition,
yeah.
But that always is kind of hard to like anchor to because those can come and go, the additional regulations. But okay, I just wanted to clarify those two things. So maybe that's just maybe it's just for Southern, I don't know.
I can't really answer a question having to do with some Chipotle where I don't have the information and so forth.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's a little bit of a straw. I'm sure you're sincere, but like when sometimes you get arguments like that and it's like, well, if I haven't seen the article and I don't know the specifics, I really don't have a way of responding to it. If there are Chipotles where people are reporting that they're getting drunk, I'd be very surprised about that. And I kind of want to know that because from what I hear from them, they absolutely don't want that. It's one thing they do try to do is they really try to systematize their operations. So, and they try to systematize their training and stuff. And they have things that they find that work. And then they make that kind of company wide. So again, I don't know which ones you're referring to, but I've never seen or heard of anybody at any Chipotle, of any of the Chipotles. And I've never heard that from anybody in communities where, like, for example, we come back for a renewal. I've never heard anybody reporting that Chipotle's been a problem.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying.
No, I understand what you're saying. I guess just because Chipotle is a bit like a corporation, I would just assume that like what applies to one Chipotle applies to every Chipotle. But I don't know a whole lot about this kind of stuff. So I really am sincerely trying to get clarification on how much power is within each location. But yeah, thank you for answering my questions.
All right, thank you. Can I motion to vote on this item? Do I have a second?
Anybody want a second? Hello.
I second.
Thank
All right.
you.
So we have the motion. We have
I'll
public
take
comment.
any other public comment.
Oh, there it is.
I don't see any. All right, I'll call for a vote. Sarah Clendenning,
No. So the motion is to approve, what is it?
Just-
Yeah, can you clarify that,
It's-
Fernando?
There's
The
no.
le-
council file.
The letter to approve or deny?
motion to approve the entitlement request regarding Chipotle Mexican Grill. Case number ZA 2021-10735 MPA.
We're approving, we're voting on the project and then we're also voting on a letter. I have them as one object though. Vince, is that kosher?
Vince has stepped up.
Hold on, say that one more time.
There are kind of two motions in this. It's to vote on the project and then to vote on a letter.
So the letter, right now you're voting on both items.
I thought that when you vote on the project, you just automatically send a letter of a determination to the applicant. That's all.
Well, it depends. We have a position letter, so we're gonna send a letter and a community impact statement.
I mean, a community impact statement, it doesn't have a council file, so it would just be a letter to city planning, but that's who I would send it to anyway.
Okay, so the letter, right now, the letter would be to disapprove it. And that would be the recommendation of the committee to the general board, to the executive committee, and then to the general board.
Would you, is it normal to motion for a negative? Would it be motion to approve the letter?
If you're gonna approve it, are you approving it with the recommended conditions or as it stands?
I don't know how, I mean, mine's, I just did it plain because I didn't want to, predict the outcome of how people were gonna vote. I didn't want to say letter of support or letter of denial without us even hearing the item yet.
That's where we determine, like, the person who makes the motion determines the letter in the beginning, right? So if that motion fails, then we would say, like, for example, we start out motion to support the liquor license, the CPU as stands, as written, right?
Mhm.
So if people voted that down, then the obvious motion would be motion to not support it and send a denial letter with no recommendation and a community impact statement that would stay on the council file and would be viewed by the public.
Yeah, there's no council file for this because it's not, it's a city planning.
We
entitlement.
can request for it to be put into the packet. And if there's a future, and think about this, right now, there is no council file, but Valerie, in the future, they are going to be going for liquor license, correct?
Who is that? Chipotle? No, they're gonna go for a type, the master, the master CUB for this site specifically says that this restaurant space can only have a type 41.
Okay.
It can never upgrade to a type 47. So they do serve margaritas at a few of their locations, not a whole lot in the LA area, but that'll never happen here because the master approval only allows for beer and wine. So it's been approved in concept for beer and wine at a restaurant.
But not by the city.
By the city, yeah, but it's been approved in concept as part of the master grant, but then we have to go in for the plan approval. We're going in for the plan approval, which was kind of approved in concept, but for the specifics.
So the establishment doesn't have a license at this time.
No, we can't have one until we get the plan approval.
Okay,
approved.
so Sarah, I'd make the recommendation to do this. If we make a recommendation now, they're going to be going into the city. They're going to have a case number. Because
We have a case number.
What's the case?
We have a
number?
case number. It's ZA 2021-10735-MPA. It's on the PDF.
Yeah, Vince,
It's on the agenda.
council files aren't, that's nothing to do, it has nothing to do with city, it's that if it was getting like funding from this, federal funds or needed TEPRA or like whatever, then it would have a city planning number for council, or sorry, it would have a council file number.
Does the council file have CBU in it?
What?
A CBU.
You mean a
CBU
CUP?
number.
No, council file CF, 1764, CF 1764.
No, I mean a planning. It has a planning number, doesn't it?
No,
The
there's
planning number,
it
Go
has,
ahead.
planning and zoning numbers for this case. There's no council file associated with it.
But we can file community impact statements on the planning numbers too.
You know, the city planning doesn't even attach, for instance, our determinations for the last case, they never even attached them to the case file when they made their ultimate determination. In any case, let's, so wait, Valerie, did this go to the ABC yet, or what's up?
No,
Need to go to-
where are we in the process of, I'm not sure where we, okay, so for our company, I deal with the local government approvals. I don't deal with the ABC licenses.
Okay,
So they may have started the process for the 41 with the ABC, but they can't do anything until, they cannot do anything with that license until we have a final decision on the master plan approval.
Okay, yeah.
And that will be final, the appeal period passes, and then there's an effectuation process, and only then can they start serving.
it could still be appealed at ABC level. So ABC wants the MPA before it considers the license.
The ABC will not issue a license if it is not permitted under the local government, and for the local government to, and here the requirement is that we get a approved master plan approval.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like the city is, you know, running all these conditional use permit, you know, hearings and stuff before people even go to ABC. And it's like people are building the bars before they even get the license.
Sarah,
Well, but ABC doesn't typically have public hearings for things like this.
Hold
So
this is one of the major problems that the public needs to be aware of. ABC does not have these public hearings at all.
Unless you appeal.
The
it.
decision, no, they don't have them at all. The
No,
decision, the decision is made. Well, let's put it this way. It's rubber stamped by the city of Los Angeles. This is one of the jurisdictional problems that we have, that the city is issuing these licenses, not the state. When the city approves it, the state just issues the license. Now, if this license never has an issue, you cannot go to the city because there is no city department in which you can complain.
no, you can, you absolutely can. There's an effectuation process, and there's processes for nuisance abatement and this, that, and the other. Granted, I'm not saying it's easy, but you can do it.
I've been through the city because we shut down many liquor licenses. At the end of the day, nothing that the city has helps us because the authority of the license lies within the state. The state ABC is the only agency that can shut down the license. A city is only recommending whether a license can be shut down or not for violating its things. It can cite you, but it cannot take the license away from you. That's been a jurisdictional.
They can shut you down.
Well, they can technically shut you down. We've seen lawsuits where they're lifted because the city's overexerting their laws over into the state. Remember that the license is issued by the state. It is granted.
Right, and there is a little bit of a jurisdictional issue because maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I don't remember exactly when it was, the city decided there was a jurisdictional issue between them and the ABC. Now, not every jurisdiction made the same decision, but basically, so for example, it used to be that you guys could say, well, we support this, but we want as a condition of approval that you guys never do happy hour and you never sell it in pictures and, you know, blah, 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 whatever other things that you wanted to see. But the city determined that they won't do that because that's within the purview of the ABC. I don't know that that really is a helpful decision, but that's not really, it wasn't our call. It's just something that happened. So
that's why this one, Sarah, I think if you want to get you want to send the letter straight to the planning commission and then have the 5 minutes that they.
It's not going to the planning commission. This is going to go to the zoning administrator.
Yes, yeah.
So then we have, the letter would have to go to the zoning administrator and request a meeting with him to voice the concerns.
No.
Have our old letters for the bigger one of the 50 million square foot Hyatt Hotel and all that this restaurant is now has built. They've built the restaurant in that client thing that was the CPC hearing, right? I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
Under the bridge, right? It's like they've already granted to the Hyatt Hotel and their conference room with the alcohol, I forget what it's called. It's not a CUP. But
that was a CPC case, yeah. So Vincent, maybe this is where there's a disconnect. So sometimes if you have cases where you're really asking for a lot of stuff, it needs to be reviewed at a higher level. But for most of the alcohol cases, it's just reviewed by the zoning administrator. But there is a public hearing. There's a public hearing. And so typically what happens is the neighborhood council will put together a letter supporting, opposed, indifferent, blah, blah, whatever it is they want to say. And that will go to the planner that's assigned to the case. And then it will end up in the case file, and the zoning administrator will have that in the case file when they're reviewing the case and making the decision. You, of course, are also welcome to come to the public hearing when the time comes.
That's what I mean. It's gonna go in front of a hearing. That's why the letter is gonna be important. The hearing administrator will have to
Oh,
hear
but
the
zoning
letter,
hearing.
and will have, the council will have its ability to have its 5 minutes in the hearing to be able to submit, not only submit it, but make a public comment there.
At the zoning hearing.
Correct.
Yeah, but those are kind of like.
I do want to encourage a vote. We do have other items on the agenda.
Hold on. All right, so
Sarah, Fernie, I have to step out. I'm gonna come back in as soon as I can. I gotta help my dad real fast.
okay,
But I have my phone on so I can hear you guys as you're speaking. I just can't participate. Fernie's gonna take over the meeting.
okay, Fernie, so we got your motion, we got the second, who seconded it?
Benny, no, Nancy.
So the motion is to vote to oppose the project and then to write a letter opposing the project, or what is your motion?
Motion to, I believe the original motion was to approve the entitlement, so a no vote would be to not approve this, and a yes vote would be to approve this.
Oh, my motion wasn't to approve it. It just says a letter regarding it.
All
Your-
right,
The application is requesting, it just says MP.
It can be support, oppose, or we take no position.
that's right.
I mean, this is the plot, planning and land use, so this goes to the general board. So let's make our recommendation now and go for a vote. All right, so what is it? Yes to, no to deny and yes to support? Or,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
okay,
right.
so let's run down the vote.
Sarah,
No,
Mostly they're two separate, if I can just say, usually they're two separate motions. So one would be, first you would see, do you support or do you oppose? And then if that carries, that carries. And then if that doesn't carry, then you could make a different motion. That's how most neighborhood councils do it. So I don't know if that's,
I mean,
could we get through the voting, please?
yeah, I mean, you just, yeah,
So Sarah, no. Melanie,
No.
Christopher Adams,
No.
Benny Madera,
No.
Nancy Soto,
No.
Fernanda Sanchez, no. And Vincent is recused. Motion carries.
motion carries. Okay, so, okay.
so now it will get forwarded to the board for consideration tomorrow night. Is that what happens?
So it'll be a board vote and then you could present, again, or just, say the facts and get the board hip to the project. And then
That's right.
final determination. And then that is where the letter, then the letter would be issued.
Okay.
To be attached to the zoning case. Yeah.
So your voted was to oppose it or to not, or was it against supporting it? Which one was it? I was a little confused.
It was to oppose. We'll have the general board meeting a vote on it tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to be
Okay.
moving to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming out tonight. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll move on to the next item. I don't know what I'm looking at. Where's my agenda? All right. So thank you everybody for being with us. I'm at my agenda here. All right. B discussion. Oh, okay. We have the presenter Jacqueline in the attendees side. Yes, Jacqueline.